Welcome to Life Workshop, where we discuss the forgotten basics. As usual, here we are, Mo and Bo, the most favorite host and co-host. And then, so today's topic that I would like to talk about is about making friends. Before I start talking about this, I have to say, why is it important to know how to make friends and to be a good friend? Because sometimes you run into people that they say, I don't like people, or they don't have friends. I have seen that. And I don't think there is anybody that doesn't want to have friends. I think we all want that. Some maybe are introvert, some extrovert, some are good with few, some with more. But I don't think there is anybody that says, I don't need friends and they can live on their own. They would be very odd, few cases probably. But in general, we want friends. So what happens that sometimes we get to the point and say that, screw that. I'm better off on my own, which some of us, we do get to that level. And we really don't want any specific friends. And we stick to, let's say, if we are married or something, or we just be connected to our pets, which normally is a dog. So normally something has happened and we have got disappointed in a way. Now the disappointment has been or because of our own fault or the friends that we have chosen or a combination of both. So because of that, it becomes important to know, where are the red flags that we should know that we identified in ourselves as well as the other party to see can they be potentially a good friend or not. Or can we really be a good friend to somebody else? And, then that becomes the very important thing. So before I get started talking about that, I would like to ask you this, Bo. How, you have obviously some friends and, some close friends. How have you got to know them, or are you trying to find more friends yet?
That's interesting. The last part of that question, are you trying to find new friends? Mm-hmm. I never really try to. It just happens.
Okay.
I don't actively go out and try to see that. Look at that guy right there. He's going to be my friend. It's not,
What's wrong with you?
That's taking it too far probably, but, I don't do that. Just friends just sort of happen,
Mm-hmm.
as you're talking, you meet someone somewhere. Usually for me, if I'm thinking about it, it's usually through a work experience or something. Mm-hmm. I'll meet some person and then we'll just get chatting and then we'll become friends, first acquaintances and then, regular friends. And that's what happens a lot. Or else school, mm-hmm. I still have a couple friends from, high school and that. So
basically it is through a school or through your work or something. When I said that, for example, myself,
usually.
Yeah, but of course you grew up in Saskatoon,
yeah,
which as we had discussed before, it is closer to center of the earth that we are in here in Regina.
Yeah, that's right.
So you didn't go too far.
No.
But, I came from the other side of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so for me, I wanted to find friends.
Mm-hmm.
And especially being a little bit of an extrovert, I like to have a lots of friends. Even to this state, if I can have more, again, I will be more than happy to have.
Mm-hmm.
So do I actively sometimes try? At this stage in my life, not as much, because I have quite a few, but in the past, yes, I did. And what would I do for that? For example, yes, it was through sports primarily,
mm-hmm.
through running or playing soccer, ultimate frisbee, volleyball, all of those things that I did.
Yeah, you just join a team and then...
That's correct. Yeah. So then you just get to know people. But the question is, so when you get to know these people through whatever source that is, a school or something, I'm assuming that you just in an organic way, you just are together and then with some you become closer friends, with some maybe you part away.
Yeah.
Do you go through a kind of set of thought that how to filter or to see if there is a red flag about somebody?
Not consciously.
And I think we don't do that. Often we don't do that. And for a good part, probably it works. But at times, no, because it's a random thing. Often I would like to say that often people are good, but and often we mean good ourselves. I don't think we mean bad. It's just that at times there are fewer people that are not good by nature. There are few and far in between, but they are the ones that they create the bad experience. Normally they say that one bad, exceeds the 10 good or something like that. So, and because of that, it becomes a bad experience. For me, the way that I see the red flag, for example, I said in the previous episode, one of the episodes that we did, about friends, that I look, for example, first of all, that they are not your enemy. That they are not in a way that...
I'd say that's a prerequisite.
It's a prerequisite. But you know what? We do not follow that though. This is exactly it.
Right.
We talk about it, but we don't act on it. And again, you want prevention. Don't make a mess. You don't have to clean it up. Right. It's basic that. So as long as somebody is not bad, potentially can be good.
Yeah.
But if you see a few good quality in somebody, but if they have one of this a few things that I'm gonna mention, then potentially they cannot be close friends, or they can sting you at one point. So one of them, as I said, if the element of being, not being wishing you ill or wishing others ill, and it's not that somebody is bad to somebody else but good to you. I don't think we have something like that. Or you're a good person, well-hearted person, or you're not. One of the two. You cannot be good to me but bad to somebody else. So if somebody is wishing ill on others, can potentially wish ill on us too.
Right. Yep. I remember talking about
that.
that.
We talked about that. So basically, then I would just check to see that if this person that I'm becoming friends with, are they wishing ill on other people?
Right.
Jealousy is another thing that, if somebody's jealous, of course, just to be very clear, jealousy and envious is different.
Right. Envious can be a positive thing.
Correct.
If you in the right way.
If you gain something, I wish to have that too.
Yeah.
That being envious. But if being jealous is that I wish you to lose it, or wish you to go lower, or get harmed or something.
Right.
That's being jealous.
Yeah.
But envious, is a normal thing. Yeah. If I see you succeed, I'll say, hey, I wish I could succeed like that too.
Yeah.
And it's okay. But then there are some other things that they say in friendship that really are elements that if somebody has it, or if we have it, I want to make sure that when I'm talking about this, I'm not talking about others. We are talking about us. There is no others. That, that to see that ourselves, we are not having those characteristics, that we don't wish ill on people. We are not jealous.
Right.
As well as the negativity. Some people that very frequently we see this, unfortunately it's more frequent than not. That, for example, we are negative. We just look at the bad, not the good. There is one bad, we just keep paying attention to that one bad, but we don't look at the 9 good.
Right.
So that having a positive outlook is very important. It's not just for the sake of becoming a good friend. And why does it affect the friendship? It's just for on your own sake, that you feel better. And then how does it affect the friendship? It becomes draining. I don't know if you have been around people that they just talk about this happened wrong, is that wrong, is this wrong, and then it just drains you. At one point, it affects you.
Yep.
So basically, for myself, I kind of avoid that. If there is somebody has that characteristic, I may bring it up with them, depending on where the relationship stands, to see if they can, fix it. If not, to be honest, it becomes a bit hard because it affects me. But some other thing is that if a friend that you cannot be vulnerable with, and what do I mean by that? If, for example, I cannot express my flaws, if they see, but we all have some, we are not perfect. Mm-hmm. As I have discussed it before, I'm an exception.
Yeah.
But, we have all these flaws. So if I cannot show my flaw and talk about it, and because they use it against me, which unfortunately this in some cultures are more than others. In Iran that I'm coming from, in the past when I was there, that was the case. So for example, if you would go show your flaw, your friends would use it against you. And because of that, very frequently we would put a face up, every time I'm the best, I'm the greatest, my family is awesome, my children are just perfect. That attitude you will see, and it's partly because we didn't want to express our flaws. Because if we did, somebody else would use it against us.
Huh.
So in some cultures, you see that a bit more. So if you see that, the pride comes in the middle, is because we are covering something else. That was my understanding. And the concept of privacy is another thing, that if somebody cannot keep a secret conversation secret.
Yeah.
But of course, if there is something secret.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, all this said, I should say this too. I want to just, as a waiver. Okay. Myself, for example, sometimes I talk about my friends that say that, they have this flaw. And then that happens that, are you talking bad about them? The answer is no. Nobody's perfect. If, for example, I say this buddy of mine has this flaw, I'm not saying the whole person is bad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about that one thing is bad. It's that sometimes it can be mistaken. It's like one of the podcasts that we were talking, I said, the handling mistake. If you haven't, by the way, watched that or listened to it, please do. The episode 6, handling mistake. I have these two friends that they genuinely wish me all the best. I know that. But their best sucked. So it doesn't mean that they're bad people by any means. But in that kind of situation, they would not be the best to go to for advice. So because and for example, I can be good at certain things, but if you come and ask me, I don't know, about something that I don't know, I can, have the best interest in mind, but I might suck at it.
Right.
So because of that, I said in that previous thing to that podcast that trust comes at 2 levels. You wish the best for me, but at the same time, your best doesn't suck.
Okay, right.
So basically, when it comes to friendship, very quickly again, you want to see that if they are not wishing other people ill, if they are not jealous, they don't have the concept of jealousy, they don't have as much of a negativity in them, and they're looking at the more positive outlook, because it becomes draining on us, and that you can be vulnerable with them so they don't use it against you. And then the last one was is a privacy. I'm sure there are other things too, but these are the things that they have come to my mind, when it comes to the friendship.
Well, and that's lots of stuff.
It is. But I would look at those things, because again, I said, if first of all, I'm trying to do, to see people that potentially they cannot ruin a friendship, or they don't become your enemies, or they don't act like one. First, I want that. Right. Then after that, I would think about, okay, what do we have in common? And because obviously with everybody, we have different level of connection.
Yeah.
For example, we get along very well in certain things. Mm-hmm. Of course, we haven't, let's say, done any traveling to see how we get along in that one, or some other sports. Of course, you don't run, I do.
Yeah. Well, I have run before.
But for example, so some of it I don't know. But again, because of that, I normally say this is a good thing to categorize your friends and put them in different categories. And when I say that, I would say it's a good thing. Mm-hmm. To know, and then your level of expectation, and then with
like you can say, well, if I'm gonna go say skiing, I'm not gonna invite my friend who doesn't like to go skiing.
I wouldn't be the one. I hate cold. So don't ask me.
Right. Yeah.
If it was in summer,
you can ask just to be nice, but they're not going to do it. So
that's correct. Right? That's exactly it. So, and it's not just that the sports, but it's a lot of other things. That to see with some people you're better off to work with the other ones to have a party with the other one to get together and eat, because sometimes the eating habits are different. So anyway, as long as one knows that which friends are good, and then you can experiment some other things, so the expectations are set so that you don't get disappointed. The reason I say this is important to have proper friends, because when a friendship goes sour, which it has gone sour for myself in, I would say, 2 episodes that I might put them in the different podcasts, to say that it was a friendship that was very good and I did something but with expectation. And then the expectation obviously was not met by any means. And I became so resentful. I just hated them. I don't talk to them anymore. It just went completely sideways. And the reason was, again, as I said, the expectations were not set. Partly was me, I believe part it was them. And then that left a scar. So for lots of years, I was a little bit more careful if I wanted to do something. So what I'm trying to say that if something goes wrong, it's not just that you lose that friend. It creates a bad experience that scar stays for a long time, if not forever. And sometimes we draw a conclusion on that. And then it comes to the point that say, I don't want any friends. I prefer to have a dog and that's it. I think one reason is that, that otherwise, if we wouldn't have those bad experiences, we would be more willing to leave the door open to experience something else to try to have some other friends.
Yeah, I can see that. A lot of it has to do with, just your personality as well, right? Your personality type.
Yes. And of course, as we grow, because our identity becomes more clear, we become pickier too.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, when I'm saying this, as I have said it before, if now, let's say you get to know somebody through work, through a school, through sports, or whatever other thing, through other friends, you get to know them. I don't write people off quick. First, as I said, that I would look for these few things that are kind of red flag that I basically said, wishing people ill, jealousy, negativity, and vulnerability. Can you be vulnerable? Can you trust them? You would just look for those kind of things.
Right.
That it might take some time, to realize that. But then after that, I would see, okay, what are the similarities that we have? And then where can we, meet? That, where can I gaining in this thing? Because really it's a matter of gain. And when I say that, I'm not talking financial, obviously. I'm talking gain would be emotional, can be educational, just having a good company, having fun, and those kind of things. But normally I say that I won't write people off that quick too. Because, as I have said before, if you don't like somebody, because you see them, for example, it would be bad to start. If you write them off, then you don't get to see the other aspect of them.
Right.
And then this way we lose a lot of good potential, friends that we could have had that we don't. So because of that, they say, if you don't like somebody, get to know them more.
Yeah.
You get to know them. If you don't like them yet, get to know them more. Chances are higher that, you will see something good in them and then you can connect at that level.
Yeah. But there's also people who sometimes there's someone who I'll meet or you'll see and you just know that they're bad news, and I don't know if you ever experienced this, but there's a feeling sometimes I'm no, I'm not going to be around.
Depends on what you're saying. The answer is yes. There are some of the things that are red flag. As soon as you said that, I remember somebody that I met once. The conversation that he had, it just disgusted me from the get-go. And I was not willing to practice my getting to know them more.
Right.
Because that one thing bad about them was good enough to write them off.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just don't want to go that far, and that is fine. But as a general thing, I'm saying that, if you get a vibe a little bit here and there, depending on the situation, what they are going through, what you are going through,
yeah,
those things can be, can be affecting this. Myself, for example, I normally joke around, quite a bit, and I have noticed this, that sometimes people, they misunderstand me. Till they realize, I say this really with not a bad intention.
Yeah.
So if they don't give me a chance, then they think I may not be cool or I'm not funny, but I am funny. But yeah, so they don't give me a chance in that case. But I wanted
I've even seen just a way. Sometimes it can be a way a person carries themselves too, and a style, and just there can be some sort of. I don't want to be all weird, but I mean, it can be almost like you get almost like an energy coming at you from somebody. And I'm not talking like crystals or anything. I don't know why I say it that way, but that's the only way I can just.
No, you get a feel of it. I know what you're saying.
It's like, okay, just that's not for me, or that person's not for me. I'm not going to go in my way to be rude or anything to them, but I'm not going to go out of my way to be like friends either.
But this is the thing. Again, you get a good vibe. Sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
But all these things said, I want to go very quickly and mention this. For example, I have had friends that, they have some of this. With some of the friends that we are close, and honestly, I don't know, how many, who has done good for the other party more or who has spent more.
Yeah.
With some friends, it's just like that.
Yeah.
Because we have done so much for each other, especially over time. The history has added to it. It's just like that. On the other hand, I have had some friends that, for example, one of them, he would not want you to get to know his friends. He would feel bad if you would get to know his friends and you would connect to his friends.
He would feel bad.
Yes, he would feel he's betrayed if you get to know his friend and then you become close with them, and then, for example, he's not involved, or even if he is involved.
Well, isn't that jealousy?
A little bit, I would say, yes, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Another friend of mine, a very good guy at multiple levels, but unfortunately, one of the things with him, it was that we would go out. Every time he would play that smart thing that when it comes to paying, he would be a bit late, or he didn't bring his credit card or something, he would get you to pay.
For realsies?
And when when he does that, then it just makes it kind of uncomfortable. Do you think you're fooling me? What goes into your head?
Yeah.
So because of that, with him, the relationship has become limited. I'm not going out with him unless if he shows me he has his credit card and he can pay for it. And this is one of the things that has become a little bit, it gives you a kind of a yucky feeling that you're on guard and why do you do that? With some other friends, on the other hand, to be honest, I just don't know who has paid more or less. And it really doesn't matter because they are small amounts, they are not big deal in the bigger scope of things when you look at the friendship that you have, the things that you can do for each other. I have a friend of mine, for example, she's amazing. She has helped me for quite a few things, and and I should have felt bad, and I thought that I should just pay her something. But she kind of looked at me, no. But then it happened that she lost her job. And then, so it was an opportunity for me. And I tried to make up for some of the stuff. Again, so depending on the people. But with her, for example, oh my God, I would do anything for her. And they would never even blink or calculate, are you kidding me? Because I know that genuinely and she doesn't have much money, to be honest, but she's such a generous person altogether. And even the vibe that I get, even right now that I'm talking about her, to be honest, I get a good feeling. So sometimes I'm bringing this up that if you are that type of person that we are trying to play tricks on our friends and things, it leaves a bad feel. Don't do that, And
right.
If somebody does it, you can bring it up with them. It's not just the concept of the money part. It's just you lose a bigger thing. You lose a friendship that it can go way further. I should tell you this, it's becoming a bit long, but it was some time ago. This is a kind of related and unrelated. Years ago, we are in Regina, Saskatchewan, we get a lot of snow, and then it melts and freezes and things. And then once I wanted to park my car, and I saw this rut that I was trying to. Very clear, I was trying to avoid it when I wanted to park the car. So I came to avoid the thing, not knowing that it was slippery enough that I did all my best, but then the front wheel slipped, and then boom, right inside the ruts. And then it was a front wheel drive, the car that they had, and it was not, I got stuck. And then this guy with the truck he was going, he saw me. As soon as he pulled over, he backed up, he brought his, rope and things. He pulled me out, he towed my car out. It was just amazing. And I don't know the guy. I didn't see him again. But, he left me with such a good feeling that what an amazing guy,
Yeah.
And then, a few years after it happened and myself, I thought that I was looking that I want to do something like this for somebody else. So this is where I'm going, that when you get a bad experience, it's not just losing a friend or gaining a friend, is the experience that opens you up towards doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And then a few years after, now this time I have all-wheel drive. And then I'm driving, and I notice again the snow, there was this lady who had got stuck. And there was, I couldn't park anywhere, so I just, with my car, just drove right kind of next to her, in the snow. I parked it, and then I went and pushed her out. Then she said, "Can you get out?" I said, "Oh yeah, you know what, all-wheel drive." So, and then when I pushed her out, she was about to take off, and then she realized I have got stuck. So she came down, she was just laughing at me, and all my ego thing was just ruined it for me. But the experience that we live, this is where I'm going with these things. Although that guy, God knows, it was 20 years ago, to be honest. To this day, then I remember, I get a good feel about it, and I try to pass it forward. The same thing is that if you have a good experience or bad experience, then in friendship, again, it becomes that you don't want any more friends, or no, you just, you want to have more friends, and especially if you know how to spot the bad behaviors that potentially can ruin the thing. And because of that, by knowing somebody, it doesn't mean because I know them, they're good.
Right.
And sometimes we make that mistake, that just because of the fact that we know them, they think that they are good, or they are going to be bad to others, but they are going to be good to us. I don't think so.
No.
So we have to spot those behaviors in ourselves as well as others, and if we have that, just to hopefully be able to, make it better. So all this said, again, the podcast is becoming too long. I don't want to go too further, but at the end, again, I would like to have this question for the audience: that how do you make friends, and do you really check for something to write some of them off? But again, to write them off, do you have the right characteristic? Because if somebody gives you a kind of a bad vibe, a little bit here and there, that may not be the answer. Which one are the main red flags? And some of them are not. Again, I said, just based on the situation, that you might have seen them at a bad time. And in all honesty, again, if you have more friends, I tell you, life is much, 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 much better. So, again, if you want to get hold of us, the best way is through email by info@lifeworkshop.ca. And for the most updated things, you can every time check the website, lifeworkshop.ca. And yeah, I would love to hear what you have to say. So take care, everybody. Bye-bye.